All right. Hello and welcome to Save the World podcast, hosted by Kendra Calhoun and Anithia Powell, also known as KC and AP. We are excited to share with you our knowledge and insights as to why so many people are failing financially and what can actually be done about it. After all, knowledge is power if only properly applied. Now, as you learn from us, guess what? We're also here to learn from you. So, what are your fears about money? As we call it, do you have enough money at the end of the month, or is there too much month left at the end of your money? Are you saving enough money? Wait, are you saving any money at all? Where are the right places to put your money? Can you put your money where the wealthy are putting theirs and where the banks are putting their money? Can you have the same type of retirement plan that the wealthy have? All of these questions and more will be talked about and answered as we go through our podcast journey with you. So today, on our very first podcast, we will be sharing with you what inspired us to actually start this Saving the World podcast and why we are so passionate about saving the world one family at a time. So let's get into it, Kendra. Kendra, the listening audience, would love to know what inspired you to start the Save the World podcast and focus on financial literacy and wealth generation.
Well, I would say this for the last several years, I've been talking about this with my best friend. I won't say any names, but Anithia. And, we've been talking about starting this podcast for a minute now because we wanted to give back to our communities. We have learned so much together in the financial literacy, up under the financial literacy umbrella. When God bless us, we need to bless others. Yes. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. I wanted to share the information and the knowledge that we have gained throughout the years, to give back to the community, right? As well as to bring others that have knowledge as well, that has shared with us, so we can also have them come on the podcast to be able to share their knowledge as well. Because I do believe that you don't know what you don't know unless someone share that information with you. So just think about it. This podcast is going to be able to educate the massive worldwide. And I know there's a lot of podcasts that's out there, but ours is going to be very special and different. Absolutely. And so that's where I am with it. It's just like we want to bring another twist, right, to our podcast. We want to make sure we're educating not just a certain community, but all communities, and not just within the United States, but worldwide. So that's why I wanted to start this podcast with my best buddy and share the knowledge.
Absolutely. So
let me ask you, Anithia, since we're sitting here talking, what made you want to start this podcast as well?
Well, Kendra, just like you've stated before, we have learned so much over the years, right? And the information that we've learned was not taught in school. I have a master's degree, you hold a master's degree, but none of this information was shared in schools, and it is not being shared. So financial literacy is something that is missing in our community. And firsthand, I was able to see what happens when it's missing. I used to help seniors who were turning 65 with their Medicare. And I would help them to get the right, Medicare program that was best for them and their families. And I would go back a year later just to make sure that that program was still working the way that they wanted it or intended for it to be working, only to find out that about 75% of the seniors had gone back to work, right? So if you look at the numbers, 19% of people 65 and over went back to the workforce. Back in the early 1990s, that number was about 11%. So you're talking about 19%. And where do you think that's headed in the future? That number is only going to get bigger because most people have not saved enough and they are in fear of running out of money. So the reason I want to start this podcast, Kendra, is because it's very near and dear to my heart, having seen people that I know turning 65, some of them over 65, and they're having to go back into the workforce, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. So the next question is, how do you see financial literacy playing a crucial role in saving the world one family at a time?
Well, first of all, by empowering individuals and families with the knowledge that we're talking about to make a difference, to help them in the realm of budgeting, right? Okay. Saving, investing, and managing debt. So when we look at financial literacy, it's a powerful tool if you know how to use it, right? If you know how, and the thing about it, Anithia, no one is teaching our communities how to truly use it. So when I'm walking into Walmart, my heart drops because I see so many elderlies standing there all day working at the cash register or on the floors, and they should be retired. Someone didn't educate them enough, right? Someone didn't show them what they truly needed to do financially to secure their future. And you just stated that they're coming out of the workforce, they're retiring broke. And if they coming out and within a year or two, they have to go back into the workforce. And now they're too old for corporate America. So they're working these little small jobs like working at Walmart, working at, all types of little places. And it still is not enough income for them. Absolutely. So, all of that, just empowering the families with the knowledge and skills that they need in the financial literacy realm, that's really passionate for me. So I would say that financial literacy plays a big part in our community because it's a lack of it. And I love that what we're about to bring to them is to, some people, they feel that it's too late, but long as they have breath.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Long as they wake up in the morning, it's never too late.
Absolutely.
So this is what I love. So we can still educate some of the older families or individuals, but we also got to concentrate on the younger ones so they won't become like the older ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, I feel like this financial literacy, it plays a crucial role in saving the world one family at a time. And how do I actually see that playing a part? Well, first of all, you don't know what you don't know. So as we continue to have these conversations, Kendra, I feel like the listening audience will, reach out and ask questions. We want this to be a two-way street, right? We're not just going to be here providing information. We're going to be listening and we're going to be looking at the questions that they ask and make sure that we are giving them the answers to their questions, right?
Exactly.
And we don't profess to know 100% of everything. No one does, right? Except for the man above. However, guess what? We have the financial backing, right?
Resources.
And resources to actually get that information. And while we know a great deal and we're licensed to do what we're doing, I'm just going to put it out there that everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation. Exactly. What's important to one family may not be important to this family. So your financial portfolio may need to look this way and someone else's need to look that way. But at the end of the day, we have financial resources and tools to show people that the average person, right? The average person with a retirement plan, right? Chances are they're going to run out of money. And there's ways to prevent that. So I see this financial literacy playing a crucial role in saving out one family at a time by having this information today rather than waiting until tomorrow, right? Because at the time you're ready to retire, that's not the time to figure out, oh,
too late. That's too late.
This is not enough money. This is not. So I'm going to have to go back. No, we want to prevent that because we see a pattern. We see a pattern of this happening. And guess what? We can put a stop to it by helping to save one family at a time with financial literacy. So,
Kendra, amen. I love that, sister. One family at a time with financial literacy, because it's so sad that they do not educate our children in the school system on this. So when they become adults and they graduate, they have no clue. So what we're bringing to you guys is going to be so crucial. I'm just so excited.
I'm excited too. I'm excited. Well, Kendra, I have a question for you. Can you share a personal story or experience that highlights the importance of financial education in either your life or the lives of others?
Oh, yes. Oh, man. Throughout my life, I've heard of, experienced, seen so many different situations. I would say how families been impacted with financial literacy. Well, not knowing enough financial literacy. My heart just dropped. But just to share with you my story, right? Just to share with you my story. My story is one day I woke up with a headache that changed my life. And what I mean by that is that I sat down with a financial broker that educated me on a lot of the information that we're going to be educating our audience on. And so when I learned that, I was floored because, it was funny because I told him, oh, I'm good. My job is taking care of me. I have all the backing from and support from my job. I've been there almost 15 years, right? So I sat down with this young man and he educated me on index accounts and life insurance, different types now. Back in the days, it was always, I call it old school, right? Life insurance where you die, someone else benefits or use that money to bury you, whatever. So all of the new products that are out here, and you will learn all this stuff as we move forward with our podcast. But after sitting down with him, I put $1 million policy on myself, my children, and it came with a product called Living Benefits. So if you had a critical chronic terminal illness, something like that would take care of you, right? And I was like, oh man, I never heard of that. My job never told me anything like that because all I have is $1 million term policy with my job. Well, after we filled out all the paperwork and he educated me on a lot of those things that I didn't know, even though I was in the financial area, right? I didn't know about these different types of products. So we completed everything. It was on a Thursday. That Sunday, I woke up with a headache that changed my life. I was having pain all in my head and my eyes, couldn't see. The pressure was so intense that my girlfriend rushed me to the hospital, her and my son. And while I was in the hospital, they did a lot of tests on me. And long story short, they came back and they said I had a brain tumor. And on top of that, they told me I had less than 5 years to live.
Wow.
Because of the type of brain tumor that I had. So that kind of threw me off. I'm like, okay, life is good, right?
So you're perfectly healthy,
perfectly healthy.
And then you wake up one morning, the headache had not persisted for days. It was just a headache that woke you up and that completely changed everything.
Just overnight, overnight, it
Wow.
changed everything. I was rushed to the ER, diagnosed with a brain tumor, less than 5 years to live. I was in the hospital for about 30 days, hospitalized. They started treatment on the chemo and, set me up for that chemo and radiation and all that. And guess who I believed in? I believed in my employer because I had worked so hard. I was I was doing finance on the side, but also I was a network engineer making almost about $300,000 a year.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was good. That's exactly what I told the young man that sat down with me. I was good. Well, I had to take off, right? Because now I'm battling for my life. And within a certain period of time, my job let me go because I was no longer an active employee.
Wait,
so all the benefits.
You were there for 15 years?
Yes.
And they let you go after
they let me go.
About a month of not being able to be
Yeah.
of interest to them because you're trying to save your life.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
That's
And
crazy.
so they rolled me over into short-term disability, which that means I went into a COBRA plan, right? $2,500 a month. I couldn't afford that. And now I have $1 million, almost a $500,000 house, have 2 kids, and they're ready for college, and a mother that I had to move into the house with me that's going through medical issues and dementia and seizures and all of this.
You're caring for. You're caring for your mother as well.
Yes.
Wow.
So, all I could do was turn to God. That's all I could do is pray and turn to God because I didn't understand exactly why this was happening to me. And so here I am. Like I said, I was a network engineer, 28 years in the industry, and working almost some weeks, almost 50, 60 hours a week for these companies to make sure that I was helping them earn millions and millions of dollars.
Wow.
And as soon as I had my issues or had a medical issues that's the time that I'm thinking that they're going to be there for me. They were not. So I learned a huge lesson.
And we're going to talk more about your story as we go through our future podcast, because that is so critical what you just stated. So many people put their trust in these companies, and but when you need your company to stand by you the most is when sometimes they let you down the biggest.
Right.
Artists.
And that instinct, I almost lost everything because you're trying to save your life, you're using up all your money, and then the company that you think that, well, this is why I have health insurance and life insurance and all that kind of stuff. When you leave that company, none of that stuff goes with you. So yes, this is something that we definitely need to talk about and have guests on telling their stories as well. Because we have to educate people on different ways that they need to make sure that they're secure in their future.
Absolutely.
Themselves instead of depending on corporations.
Got it.
So what about you? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, yeah, I can tell you about a story. My personal story or experience that really highlights the importance of this financial education. Actually, I was able to actually witness so many people in my family that have made really good money in their careers. And these family members are now retired, but guess what? They're just like that average American that we speak about, and they are retired broke. Came from, really nice careers with like General Motors and high up positions there. People working for the city or the county, and have nice positions there. But then when it's all said and done, you know, they're not able to travel. They're not able to really enjoy their retirement.
Life.
Yes, they can pay their bills, but who wants to be in retirement and barely still, you know, paying your bills,
And
right?
Anita, a lot of people is in retirement and they can't pay their bills.
Mm,
So that's the sad
true.
part about it.
Right, right, right. Well, I guess they're considered fortunate because they're at least able to pay their bills. And guess what? Everybody that retires, they don't retire and their mortgage is paid off. So I'm witnessing what is happening to people in my family, the same thing that's happening to America, right? Everybody who's 65 doesn't have a paid off mortgage. It just doesn't work that way all the time. Sometimes people have to, you know, maybe, you know, get loans or, you know, HELOCs or, you know, things like
Take out
that,
second mortgages.
second mortgages and things of that nature. And they are, you know, still have these huge bills that they still have to pay in retirement. And so I'm witnessing this with people in my family. And guess what? I was going down that same wrong path of putting my money into these, you know, these employer sponsored programs that's supposed to be of a benefit. And I can't wait for us to get into all of this with our listening audience, right? And we're just giving you guys a sneak preview of what is to come. But doing the same thing that everybody else is doing is a for sure way to know that you're doing it probably the wrong way. So watching people in my family retire and not be able to take trips or to do anything, that that was significant. And then I also witnessed people as they get older. Guess what? They're not picking up books to read anymore. When people are when people are out of school, Kendra, one of the things that I notice is that, hey, if no one is forcing them to pick up a book to read because they have a book report to do or something of that nature, and when you're left to do it all on your own, you say, hey, I'm done with that. People don't read anymore. So that's another big problem, you know, that I've witnessed, because the knowledge is in the books. They say if you want to keep a secret, where's the best place to keep it?
In
Or
a book.
put it in a book, right?
In a book.
You know, so, you know, the world of finance is immense and it's always changing. Therefore, not reading to gain insight for improving one's financial portfolio is actually taking steps in the wrong direction. So now
And,
that, you know, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and one of the things that also came across is the financial literacy part. A lot of people think it costs so much to learn this information. That's because a lot of big, I would say, brokers charge $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 to come in and learn.
That is true.
And when we're doing these podcasts, this is going to be free for you. So I hope you guys really tune in to get the information and learn what we're going to bring to this podcast to help you make better decisions for your future.
Absolutely. So now that you know what Save the World podcast will be about, please invite your family, your friends, you know, your loved ones to tune in. We're going to be here every Sunday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on a mission to save one family at a time through financial literacy and wealth generation. That word wealth was never used in my household, right? Yes, some of the
Mine
information,
either.
some of this information, it will be familiar to you, but we promise you that a lot of it will be brand new. And all we ask is that you sit back, take it all in, and see how it can actually weave itself into the fabric of strengthening your financial portfolio as we take this journey together to save the world.
Save the world. Awesome. Awesome.
We will see you next time. Tune in next Sunday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The same time, same place. Looking forward to helping you and your family. Have a great one.
Have a great one.